everybody. My name is Dr. Bliss. I'm the Director of Percussion Studies here at the University of Tennessee in Knoxville, and we're so glad you joined us for the UT Percussion Podcast, Senior Clinic Edition. We are going to be filming some small podcasts over the next couple of weeks here in November of 2012, as a lot of you students are getting ready to take the WTS, MTS, and ETSBOA senior clinic auditions, and we thought we'd pitch in and see if we could help out. So these podcasts will be performed by several of my students along with myself, and we'll be working together to try to give you some helpful hints and tips as you prepare for your auditions upcoming in the next several weeks and months. So please note that we don't think that our interpretation of these pieces is the only way to do these. So if you have gotten instruction otherwise, certainly listen to your teachers and all of those good things. But we do want to give you some feedback, especially for those of you students who are in more remote locations throughout the state of Tennessee and possibly don't have a private instructor available. We thought, why not use the internet to share some of the things that we do here at UT. So we hope you enjoy these. We'll be doing MTS BOA excerpts this week and then releasing the others very shortly after. You're always welcome to email me here at the university. My name, again, is Andy Bliss. My email is abliss@utk.edu, and you can find the UT Percussion Studio on Facebook if you search UT Percussion, and our Twitter handle is @UT Percussion. So best of luck to you in your audition, and we hope you take something enjoyable from this series of podcasts. Have a great day. Hey everybody, thanks for tuning into the UT Percussion Podcast. We are doing the WTSBOA, the West Tennessee Senior Clinic Etudes, and I'm here with Dan Ornowski, who's from Buffalo, New York, and he's prepared the timpani portion. Now, the etudes for WTSBOA are meant to be played top to bottom, as I understand it, and you have actual rests between the sections that you are supposed to count through and come in correctly. We have broken up the 4 sections as separate podcasts, so please don't let that change your preparation. So, here with Dan, who you probably just heard do a run-through of this etude. And Dan, what are some things you might want to discuss about how you prepared this?
Let's start on the second line and talk about sticking a little bit. We have a triplet in the third beat of the second line, and there's different ways we can stick that to make it happen. The way I did it is the first note of that triplet, I put my left hand on it. Now, you're coming from this 29-inch drum right here and shifting up to the left to play that with your left hand up here. So you're going left, right, left, right. And if you do it that way, you don't have to do any cross stickings at all. You're just shifting out of your own way. So watch again. Be left, right, left, right. Another way that might feel more natural to some people will be to play with your right hand here, right, left. Then you need to cross over your left hand to do that, and that can be more awkward and will diminish your sound quality a little bit. So we can always try to find ways to get around having to do cross stickings.
Yeah, I think, doing cross-sticking, and especially, if you come from a marching background on quads or something like that, we do that a lot. On timpani, however, we try to avoid it whenever possible. As cool as it looks, it really does affect our sound, because as you cross over, typically your hand comes up, and as such, your mallet doesn't hit the head squarely, and so you don't get kind of the full quality of sound that the other strokes are getting, and so that note starts to pop out as an uneven note within the phrase. So we always work to find ways that we can utilize sticking to enhance our tone quality, and that's a great example. I would not have thought to move up with my left there, but by starting off the left, then you you eliminate all those other problems that come up with it. Good. How about this tempo, Dan? It's so slow, marked at, what is it, quarter note equals 40?
Mm-hmm.
So that's really, really slow. How did you address that when you started comparing these?
Well, the first thing I did is I set my metronome to 40 just to see what it would feel like, and it's about right here. It's really slow. So then I started to think, how am I going to count the 30-second notes, the 16th notes? How am I going to subdivide everything? On my metronome, I have the option to put in 8th notes. So I did that, and then I took it one step farther and actually put in 16th notes. So if you don't have a metronome that can do that, you can very easily crank up the tempo. If you put your tempo to 80, then you can crank it up to 8th notes and you have the same thing. So it's just a matter of figuring out some simple math, or difficult if you're like me.
Yeah, it does get tricky.
But if you can do that and you have this now as your 16th note, when you get to the 32nd notes, you can switch your brain and start thinking of this as your 8th note, and your 32nd notes you can count like 16th notes. And that's a good way to count your 32nd notes and subdivide those. And that came in handy a lot with the very last line, because you have 32nd notes worked into your 16th notes and then a whole phrase of just 32nd notes. So that helped break that down for me a lot.
Great. So speaking of the last line, just at first glance of this etude, we immediately see there's quite a bit of stuff going on in that last line. So how did you work through that to make sure that you were playing it correctly to the page, but also with regard to sticking, there's quite a bit of movement from drum to drum. How did you solve those problems?
The first thing I always do when I run into things with sticking issues, whether it's on timpani or snare drum or marimba, anything, is I do it at tempo. Because there's times when your sticking will change depending on what your tempo is. So I did it at tempo, and I figured out 4 or 5 different ways that I could want to do it. And then once I figured it out, I brought it down, I slowed it down, and worked it out even slower. And what I ended up with was, I'll turn this metronome off, a sticking of right, left, right, left, right. That's the first beat. Okay, so right, left, right. The second beat, adding to it, was left, right, left, right. So your left hand is staying on the slow drum, and your right hand is doing all the moving. Okay, so that simplified it for me. I don't have to worry about moving one hand. Then the third beat, I had left, right, right. So no crossings anywhere yet, just straight sticking. And then up here on the 32nd notes, I doubled my right hand again. I went right, left, right, left, right. And again, no crossings, no cross stickings. But you always give and take. So I didn't do any cross stickings, but I doubled my right hand, which can offer some other difficulties. So it depends if you feel comfortable enough with your right hand to do that. If not, then maybe a cross sticking would be good for you there. That's kind of how I worked it out. Super slow. Once I found the sticking I wanted at tempo, I slowed it down and I played it through it, and I bumped up the tempo until I got to where it needed to be.
Great. Yeah, and I also noticed that when he incorporated a double, he didn't do it where there are 30-second notes passages. Of course, if we're going to play 2 notes back to back, we want to allow as much time to do that as possible. So on beat 2, for example, your double came between 2 16ths, not between 2 30-seconds, which just makes good sense if we're trying to really be clear with have a nice even tone quality from stroke to stroke, especially as we move through this faster passage. You can also reference Logan, who recorded the ETSBOA timpani passage, and he talked a little bit about using articulate mallets to get soft passages to have clarity, and Dan did something similar here. That's measure 3, line 3 of the etude starts at piano, and we still need to be able to hear these rhythms going by with a certain amount of clarity. So you don't want to get a big puffy mallet just because it says piano, because we won't hear the rhythm at all, especially as it gets into 30-second subdivisions. So, any last comments, or I think that's probably about it?
Okay, that's pretty good.
Yeah, great. Thanks to Dan for taking some time to prepare this etude, and hello to you all who are over on the west side of the state. We'd love to have you come visit us here in Knoxville sometime. Thanks for tuning in to the UT Percussion Podcast. If you haven't, we also have videos up for the MTSBOA and ETSBOA, and while you're probably not taking those auditions, there's a lot of really good content in there, we think, and we'd love to share it with you. So check it out, share this with your friends, and have a great week. Thanks for listening.